And what else do we have? All right, big reminder, big bold notes in your notes. Always provide the equations you're using. It is much, much more important than the software you're using. More important for me to know that you're calculating a rational method, which I can approximate with a scale, than knowing you're using autodecimals, hydrographs. So make sure that when you explain all your calculations in the appropriate sections of the report, stormwater section, sanitary section, water section, that you provide your method, which again is the equations that you're using. All right. So what questions do you guys have? Where are you? How do you stand? It's your project. All right, now let's pretend, you're the employee and I'm the manager. All right, and we're all working on this project. What would you be asking for help on? What are you stuck on? What is not working for you?
Did you upload the new existing grade?
We just spoke about that. I hope to have it very, very soon. I am unfortunately as busy as you guys are, with too many fires and not enough fire extinguishers. But I will get that up very soon. Tie into what is there. Any change should not be that great of a difference.
Okay.
When you were going over intersections last week, you briefly went over extending an assembly and then splitting a region. Could you go over that again?
Yeah. Okay. Split region is a good, if you have that intersection and you're gonna, go through with a corridor, split region is a good Google search term. Civil 3D space, split region, it'll bring you right to corridor help somewhere along the way. All right, so big note for you guys too on the tech side. When we were grading with our feature lines, we noticed that when we dragged a feature line to a different elevation, it didn't pick up the elevation. Do you remember that? And you'd have to go in and assign it either at the command line or in the elevation editor. Install the 20.3 service pack, and that bug will be fixed, and you'll be able to grip edit your feature lines to acquire elevations. Right now you can grip them, and in plan view they'll line up endpoint to endpoint, but when you look in 3D, the elevations are not connecting as they should. Because that's the thing with feature lines. Any XY can only have one Z. You cannot have more than one Z for any set of XY coordinates. So that was released last week, and it will make your residential grading much easier when you start working in plan and 3D and you see things that are down at elevation 0, and you just want to pick it up and grip edit it onto an endpoint of, say, a corridor or your detention basin or something. All right, what other questions do we have? What else do we want to review? Hopefully, when you come back next week, if you have your roadway and basin graded and your utilities roughed out, you're in good shape. All right. How many people see that as a relatively easy task? How many people see that as a terribly difficult task? Okay. See me. All right, we'll talk. Everyone else sees that as I can probably get it done? All
We
right.
could try.
We can try. Okay, that's good. That's good. Now, if you're having a tough time, this is the time to ask. You can also email me too. But where are we? Does everyone have corridors roughed out? Roughed out. I mean, they don't have to be perfect. You don't need your finished ground profile perfect just yet. Do keep in mind, if you have an intersection, you've got to manually check every time you change your profiles, manually confirm that the elevation of that intersection is lining up and not, right? Because you change one, the other one isn't going to follow. So that's number one. Detention basin grading. Remember we did that twice in the last 2 weeks with the grading objects? That was pretty easy, I think, hopefully. Yes, no, anyone get to that yet?
Yeah,
Yes?
yeah.
Okay. How was it?
Good. We had to remember to set the feature line and elevation because we had it at 0 and then it was making huge daylight.
Okay, yeah, check your elevations. But good, okay. Anyone start utilities? Is this where the bottleneck is? Okay. What do we need to go over with utilities?
If you could review it again.
Okay, review creating them, review calculating them.
Calculating them.
Okay. All right, you do want to lay out your storm and sanitary first. Get a rough design. And that will, again, depend on your roadway grading. It doesn't have to be perfect, but you can get it close. All right. So today's like a review. So I want you guys to tell me what to review. I will go over split regions. I will go over how many people are okay with the methods I gave you for drafting up the water main, which is really just basically AutoCAD. Everyone good with that? You guys were out 1 week. Get some notes, okay? Are you guys a 2 or 3? 2. Okay. So I told you already, no water or sanitary, right? No? Yeah, that's the 2-person group, all right? No water or sanitary. Okay. That may help you a little bit. Okay, all right. Okay, so all you other 3-person groups. We will review again pipe networks and moving it into storm sewers. How are we with the intersection grading and the cul-de-sac grading? If you don't have it done, do you have enough notes and instruction to complete it.
Can you go over that again?
Mainly like the cul-de-sac, yeah.
Mostly the cul-de-sac?
I would just do mostly both.
Okay, what else do we have to go over? All right, this is when, go ahead.
Can we review some of the TR-55 method?
For the time of concentration calculation? Okay. That's something, in your reports, again, I'm hoping you guys, when you leave here, you have a pretty good report and map that you can bring to an engineering firm and help you land a job. And if you have maps that look pretty good, I guarantee you, coming right out of college, being able to produce that CAD product will impress the hell out of most people, at least in my industry. And we need help there every day. We need people who can sit down and make our plans and do our reports. All right, bottom line. So, with that, when you're writing your report and you mention TR-55, make sure that you state that it's only for the time of concentration calculation. Because TR-55 is like a 3/4 inch page publication that actually computes and does what the modified rational method is doing. Computing a volume and peak flows, comparing existing and proposed conditions. All right, so TR-55 is much more than just time of concentration. And you want to make sure you're specific in that, because if I'm an engineer and you're coming to me with this report and you want to hand it off as something, and they're like, you didn't use TR-55 for your peak flow or for your detention basin volume. You only used it to generate your time of concentration. There's actually, I think, 6 worksheets in TR-55. Worksheet number 3 is time of concentration. And I think worksheet number 4 is your peak flow. Worksheet number 2 is your existing peak flow. Worksheet number 5 is your stage storage. And then worksheet number 6, the last one, is your volumes and stuff, I believe. I haven't used it in a while. And actually, most of it's all computer automated right now, TR-55, much like it is in your thing. All right, so what else do we need to do?
Would it be too much to ask you to go over assemblies again?
Where do we put that in there? Assemblies. What's a more common term for assemblies? What would we normally call
Like a cut section?
that?
Or?
A cut section, cross section, right? A typical cross section. How many of you guys know how to, if your boss gave you a plan, a map, drew a line through a road and you said, make me a cross section. How many of you could just hand draft it? Good, all right, good. We could talk about that, but that's really good. Much higher percentage this class than some previous classes. Okay, all this software is doing is things that we were doing by hand years ago, centuries ago in some cases. Like the tin actually dates back to like the Egyptians or the Phoenicians, who knows, somewhere time way before boomers were born. All right, so wow. By show of hands, is that most important? A show of hands, is that most important? Is that most important? Is that most important? Is that most important? Next showing. What is next most important? Oh, wow. A sleeper in the betting. What is the next most important? And following. You don't even vote in this time? Oh, you gotta vote.
Yeah,
Okay.
I voted the other times, but I guess in my hand wasn't.
No, I have to, it's total number of hands. Nah, I saw your hand. Okay. Oh, this poor guy. All right, so let's see what we have. Let's start off with, wow, pipe networks and storm sewers. All right, so I gave you all the basic drafting design constraints, right? Remember? I said, where does our sanitary sewer go? Basically.
Center line.
Basically down the center line of the road. And we do that because we don't want to put our manholes in the gutters. We don't want our manholes taking in gutter flow. So we can put them behind the curb, but they got to be within the right of way and the curb line, and that'll keep them up out of the gutter flow. But we generally try to keep them along the center line of the road. We may use a series of 2 inlets to get around, 2 manholes to get around a curve. But remember to keep your utilities inside the right of way the best you can. Because if you don't, what do we need to provide? If our utilities, storm, sewer, or water, leave the public right of way, we need to put an easement on the properties where that is going through so that the utility company, whether it be the town, water, whatever, can get in and maintain those lines. All right. So, generally speaking, where does our water main go?
I go in the right of way, like
By the curb?
thank you.
5 feet off the curb, right? Try to keep it about 5 feet off the curb. They do that so that they have room to dig, get down. In most cases, they may be able to like save curbs and stuff with repairs. Sometimes, not really. But we generally have our sanitary running down the center of the road, our water maining running down one side of the road about 5 feet from the curb. And what about our storm sewers?
Sanitary.
Above sanitary, yeah. Let's talk about horizontal, XY though.
Towards the center.
Actually down the curb line. We usually run a trunk down one of the curb lines, a main route down the curb lines, and we use crossing pipes to connect the other side of the road. You can put the trunk on either side. Generally people start with it down, they'll move it up if it's in the way of something else. But generally speaking, your storm is going to be under one of the curbs. You'll have cross drains. You're eventually going to have to leave the road to go down to your detention basin, and you need an easement around that pipe from the roadway right away around the detention basin. And it's got to close off on a lot line or a street line. Our airplane is still up in the light. So, vertically, let's talk vertically now with our designs. RSIS has our minimum water main depth. RSIS has our minimum sanitary sewer depth. There is also separation requirements for sanitary and water. And look through both sections. You should read them both anyway. I'm not going to tell you if it's under water or sanitary, but you got to read them both. So there's two separations. One is a horizontal, one is a vertical. You need to meet one of them, not both. All right? You need to meet either the horizontal separation or the vertical separation. Your storm sewers, you want to place that at minimum depth. The only requirements are really loading. And that's because we're not worried about the storm sewers freezing. Generally speaking, you should have a minimum of, over a roadway surface, 1.5 feet of cover, especially to make sure you get your inlets all connected. A minimum 1.5 feet of cover for your inlets. Maximum depth on any of these is what?
10 feet.
10 feet. You should be able to do your design within that. And why do we want to restrict that depth? Cost. It gets very costly to go deep. All right? Very costly. And the safety conditions go way down with that as well. All right. So, you should have guidelines there to lay this stuff out. Yes? No? All right. Let's see what we have here. And I did start a utility map. Okay. All right, so this is the utility map I started. And layer, let's go util. Oh wow, nothing. How about storm? Wow, all right. Just along layer 0? Nope. Oh wow. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start over. And we've got nothing in here. And how did I start this map like I would start any other map? What did I do? Step number 1.
Put in all your extras.
Bring in all my extras. Start a new file with the Civil 3D template and bring in all your X references and bring your surface in. And come on. My computer's been working overtime today. And I think she's on her last leg. Come on. Ooh, you sure you want to get rid of this? Yes, I am sure. Wow, it took you a little time to think about that. And we'll get rid of this alignment that we had there as well. And what I'm going to do is, I told you before, you can start that new file, bring in all your X references, bring in your data references, and then save it as a project base map, right? And I can open this up every time I start a new task, residential grading, earthworks. And I have all those X references already attached. And I also have references to my surfaces. This is my existing ground. I'm gonna try to get something to fade that into the background a bit. Because we really don't need to see that all that much. There you go. Oh, you can't even see it. Probably better. But no, I gotta give it a little bit of color. So. There you go. How's that, better? Let us also fix this. I have one here by layer, 2 and 10. And let's get a color on here that stands out. And there we can see we have our curb, our contours. I can select that surface, and this is a calculation. So I'm going to add just some labels for identifying where I am roughly. I don't need to go crazy. I don't need to worry about, like I said, what it's going to look like on a sheet, because I am just calculating here. That gives us a little bit of perspective. All right. Number one, I don't think I went into this last week, but when we're doing this design and this project, we actually have not just an existing and proposed condition. We also will have an as-built condition for the road, as built. And when we do our residential grading, what we would like to do, I told you on your roadway grading, your map will look like this, where your existing contours and your proposed contours look different, right? The existing, I told you, would be dashed in gray, and the proposed is going to be black and bold, stand out, but the existing contour should not be cut under here. And I told you as a review engineer, I don't want that, because I can look at these two contours and see what the cut fill is right there. I can move down the line and see what the cut fill is at the next contour here. And I can estimate better with that. But when we do our residential grading, by law, that road needs to be built before anyone can even buy one of those properties. So we're going to need a surface, a single surface, that shows the existing and the proposed conditions combined. For your residential grading plan, this will be the EG that you show gray and dashed, but only for that plan. Does that make sense? And then our proposed conditions would be the contours for the residential lots. Make sense? Right? That when we build these homes, this road needs to be built, and we're going to show these as a single surface. So what you need to do is in your utility, I'm going to save this as my utility, and this is the best place to do it, is in your utility map. I'm going to do this as 2. Is to make a new surface and call it EG-FG combined. I'm gonna give it a style that you can see right now, 1 foot contours. And wow, there it is. How come I don't see anything? Come on, you guys answered this before. I just created a surface and I don't see it. Why not?
To make it visible?
What's that?
You have to make it visible?
No. Hint, hint, hint.
Just define it.
Hint, hint, hint.
I mean, we
Can't see.
You can't. Oh, this thing again. All right. Let me see if we can make it better for you this time. Well, let's start there. Man, that's pretty horrible too. Let's go. No. Display settings. No. There we go. That's gonna be like old and horrible. All right. Even worse than that? Are you kidding me? Wow. That's not good either. Oh my goodness. That's close. You don't like any of, oh wait, I bet you it's 760. 768. Nope. Oh my
You're
goodness.
going the wrong way.
You think so? You think I gotta go up to